Good morning, Deputy Brooks. Here. Hello. Morning, gentlemen.
Hi, how are you?
We're fine. Right here on the cutting edge of civilization.
How many out there?
Hi. Lieutenant Henry. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
There's, to the best of my knowledge, there's only the two of us.
Just the two of you guys? Okay.
And in fact, we have
Wait, I'm here.
somebody at the bottom keeping people from coming up.
So you were going to be on your way out then, or?
If there's an arrest, I'll cover it. If the protesters leave, I will. That's what I'm here for.
All right.
I'm not. Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
How many people are here right now?
so there's just two of us.
Just two?
Mm-hmm. And we've,
Two, or is there another person?
this is it.
Okay.
We've asked people not to come up and to try to get this under a little better control.
Okay.
And in terms of full disclosure, we're being taped.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and we do from our side. So.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you a copy. That's the. Have you seen it at all?
I have seen it and I've read it. I had three questions about it.
Okay. I don't know that I can answer the questions, but I'll give you a copy.
Thank you.
I don't know that I can answer the questions, but
Well,
you can ask. I'll try.
there's a logical problem in terms of you define the beginning. You define the beginning of the period by something at the end of the period. So you say 2 hours before the blast, but we don't know when the blast is going to be. And so it would seem a better way to communicate this so that people would know exactly what is going to happen is you have a 5-minute warning now. Well, give us a 2-hour warning or a 40 or something that's reasonable. I mean, I would expect that it would be very easy for people to get off this mountain within a half an hour. So if you give us a half-hour warning, we'd gladly get off the mountain.
If somebody were to come over, Doc, from main drilling and blasting or from GMP, say it's 9 o'clock, we're going to be blasting at 10 o'clock. If somebody were to let the people know here.
The problem with that is we have more than here. So what I'm saying is, your whistles are good.
Yeah. Their whistles.
Yeah, well, just give me another whistle at a time that's reasonable. Now, I understand that the court said 45 minutes, but 2 hours, and we can certainly go by that. But that does seem like it's pushing us off a little too much.
Okay.
So I would.
The best I can tell you there is I'll relay that to them, and let them know that would be something you guys would like to hear.
The other
My question there would be is if they were to give a 45-minute or an hour or a 2-hour whistle or notification, and the people that are here leave, are you simply just going back to the 1,000-foot line? So if anybody else tries to come up in that time frame, that you'd be able to keep them at bay?
Basically people sign in at the bottom, and so we have a reasonably good communication system. We would take responsibility for notifying them.
I'll mention that to them. That's the best I can do, is mention it. It's not obviously we're not in charge of the whistle blowing or anything like that.
Right.
So the best I can do is mention that to them and ask them if that's something that they consider and go from there.
Okay, the next question I have for you is, if somebody's standing over here and refuses to leave, that's a violation. Okay. What if somebody decides to leave, and so they're complying? They decide to leave, but they decide to go this way. And so we go from criminal contempt to trespassing.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So suppose that happens. If somebody does that, is that going to be the charge?
Yes, that would be the difference in the charge. The criminal contempt versus criminal trespass.
Okay. Criminal contempt versus criminal trespass.
They're both misdemeanors. But if they happen while we're standing here and after the order is given and they step forward, it's a witness misdemeanor, which means you'd be arrested, and it, in essence, the charge is is different, but the process is the same. It's still a arrestable offense, witness misdemeanor. It goes back to get processed to get a citation and cited into court. Versus if you're on the east side of the boundary, on the Nelson property, and still within the 1,000 foot, then it would be criminal contempt, as it lays out in the order.
It says here, let's see if I understand this correctly. Criminal contempt may result in prosecution for criminal by fine or imprisonment or both.
Right.
Is trespassing fine or imprisonment or both?
Yes. I don't know what the maximum fine could be, and I don't know what the maximum imprisonment would be for either of the charges, to be honest with you. But they are both misdemeanors.
Maximum is going to be 2 years or less.
Right.
Both of them. They're both going to be the same.
Of the same.
Yes.
So
they're both misdemeanors.
So my point being that there's no benefit for somebody to go from one side.
There's no lesser charge from the other. One's not better than the other. They're both misdemeanor charges. And the definition between a felony and a misdemeanor is really the term of imprisonment. Has nothing to do with the amount of the fine. Yeah. Okay. Anything 2 years or less is a misdemeanor. Anything 2 years and 1 day or more is a felony.
And then I wanted to bring up and I know you can't. This is something that is not going to be negotiated here today or understood here today. The Honorable Martin Malley makes the point. If I can find it precisely to quote you, basically that my being here today and the Nelsons allowing me to be here today is causing irreparable harm to our damage. I forgot which word to use. Harm or damage. Damage, I think is the word. To Green Mountain Power and the public of Vermont. And of course, our point is the opposite. Our point is that the state of Vermont and Green Mountain Power are doing irreparable damage to this mountain and to the state and to the public of Vermont. And obviously we're not very powerful people, but our only way to make that point, because maybe it's possible that we're right, okay? And so the Constitution says that we have a right to peaceably assemble. We're up here peaceably assemble. We have a right of speech, and we have freedom of the press. Okay, and that's what we're exercising. We're exercising the tools that we have. And so I'm saying yes, you have to be safe, but give us as much opportunity as possible to use our First Amendment rights. Okay, and you support that Constitution, I support that Constitution, and let's play by those rules. So
let me just ask you a question. Did Green Mountain Power come out and meet with you this morning?
Mr. Bob Keller came over and we had a conversation. He told me that you were going to blast at 10 o'clock, and so I was hoping.
What times did he give you the schedule for the day?
No, but there's Lieutenant Henry. There's the problem in terms of the schedule for the day. Is like if he was going to blast at 10 o'clock, it would have been an 8-hour, would have been an 8 o'clock window, correct? Right. And so the schedule for the day doesn't help us in terms of using our time up. So that's why the whistle thing would be better.
Until you know when you can return or when you have to leave. Is that what you're saying? You know when you can return because they've spelled it out with one whistle,
right?
As an all clear.
Yeah.
You just other than us or somebody coming and saying that you need to leave because we're going to be blasting within 2 hours. You have no other way of knowing that right now.
Right, and so a whistle would be good. And of course, we would expect the blast to occur within the 2 hours. And we wouldn't expect to use it.
Right.
Okay.
No, and that's what, and I understand that to be what you're saying, and I have no problem relaying that message to them. But that's beyond our control.
Okay.
And if so to speak, don't shoot the messenger. We're executing.
Hey, I understand. Right, and you're a citizen, and I'm a citizen, and these gentlemen are citizens.
And we, hear what you're saying. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure whichever side you're on. There's an order, and that's what we've got to do.
Do you have to do something official to read this?
I've got to read the order.
Would you like to do that?
I'll do that. That's fine. Takes me a minute. So you guys have all read it. I do have to read it. It's State of Vermont Superior Court, Orleans Unit, Green Mountain Power Corporation as the plaintiff versus Donald and Shirley Nelson defendants. Civil Division, docket 256-1011 OSCV. It was filed November 1st, 2011 in Vermont Superior Court, Orleans Unit. It is a preliminary injunction. This matter came before the court on plaintiff's motion for a preliminary injunction pursuant to Vermont Rules of Civil Procedure, or VRCP 65, subsection B. Defendants received notice and the court held hearings on October 20th and 25th, 2011, at which plaintiff and defendant presented evidence. Having considered the evidence as well as the parties' various motions, supporting memoranda of facts and law, affidavits and exhibits, the court grants the requested preliminary injunction. The court finds, based on the evidence presented by both parties, that plaintiff will sustain irreparable harm if an injunction is not issued. The court finds that defendants Donald and Shirley Nelson and other persons acting in concert and participation with the defendants are improperly interfering with plaintiff's development of a wind generation project in Lowell, Vermont, known as the Kingdom Community Wind Project, or the project. Specifically, the evidence shows that the Nelsons and those acting in concert and participation with them are intentionally occupying the northwesterly boundary of the Nelsons' property adjoining the project in close proximity to blasting on GMP property where the project is being constructed. The purpose of defendants and those acting in concert and participation with them is to 1. Place themselves far inside a 1,000-foot safety zone in order to create a risk to human safety that will prevent the blasting from taking place, and thereby 2. Causing irreparable harm to GMP and the public. Plaintiff has presented sufficient evidence that it is likely to succeed on the merits of its nuisance and contract interference claims, and that issuing the below order will impose no or little cost on defendants. It is hereby ordered, pursuant to Vermont Rules of Civil Procedure, or VRCP 65, subsection D, that defendants Donald and Shirley Nelson and any and all of their agents, employees, attorneys, invitees, licensees, permittees, and all and any other persons acting in concert or in participation with defendants Donald and Shirley Nelson are enjoined, prohibited, and restrained from engaging in any and all of the following. 1. Being present within 1,000 feet of the northwesterly boundary of Donald and Shirley Nelson's Lowell, Vermont property and adjoining GMP's land for 2 hours before blasting until the all-clear whistle is sounded. Inviting, encouraging, or permitting other individuals to be present within 1,000 feet of the northwesterly boundary of Donald and Shirley Nelson's Lowell, Vermont property and adjoining GMP's land for 2 hours before blasting until the all-clear whistle is sounded. It is further ordered that Donald and Shirley Nelson permit GMP to post signs warning of the blasting and giving notice of this order on their property on access routes to the above described northwesterly boundary and at visible locations in that boundary area. GMP shall delineate the 1,000-foot safety zone for each blast and shall properly post the 1,000-foot safety zone to warn the public of any blasting. GMP shall provide law enforcement with notice of blasting sufficient to allow for execution of this order. Pursuant to VRCP 65, subsection C, the court waives any security requirement. A wrongful issuance of an order will pose little or no cost or burden on defendants, and plaintiff has resources to pay for any such minimal costs. The Orleans County Sheriff, with the assistance provided by other county sheriff offices, and the Vermont State Police are authorized to arrest and remove any individuals within 1,000 feet of that boundary within the specified 2-hour period. The sheriff's offices and Vermont State Police are authorized to enter onto the land of Donald and Shirley Nelson within 1,000 feet of the Green Mountain Power Project boundary to effectuate the implementation and enforcement of all aspects of this order. The sheriff's offices and the Vermont State Police shall read this preliminary injunction out loud and provide or make a copy to persons on the Nelsons' land within 1,000 feet of the boundary. Persons who refuse to move away from the boundary as directed by this order shall be removed, arrested, and after being properly identified, issued a citation to appear before this court at the earliest possible date, to receive notice of the charge of criminal contempt pursuant to Vermont Rules of Criminal Procedure 42B, and to be served with any process for civil contempt to be served by plaintiff pursuant to 12 VSA Section 122. Violation of this order may result in prosecution for criminal contempt by fine, imprisonment, or both. This order shall expire at 5 p.m. on Friday, December 2nd, 2011. Dated at North Hero, Vermont, this first day of November 2011. Honorable Martin A. Malley, Superior Court, Orleans. Water. So I guess that at this point, it would, we'll let you know they do have a blast plan. It was for 10 o'clock, obviously set back a little bit, but they do have a blast plan. So have they given you a blasting schedule for today? Let's start with just today. Have they told you anything besides 10 o'clock for today?
No, they haven't.
So it's our understanding 10, 1, and 3 is what our understanding is. So there would be a very short window of opportunity to come back here after the all clear from the 10 o'clock window, because then we would be coming back into the 11 o'clock hour, which would be 2 hours before the scheduled 1 o'clock blast, and then of course that would be within the 2 hour window of the 3 o'clock as well. They haven't informed us of any other changes to that.
So you're saying the blasting time is 10,
1, and
1,
3.
and 3.
So it would be going by that schedule, and again, we haven't been told anything different going by that schedule. I would assume that shortly after 3 o'clock you would hear an all clear whistle, and you'd be able to come back up, or come back to this point. We're not enforcing anything beyond the 1,000 feet. During the blast time, we just have somebody posted at the 1,000-foot mark on what is, I guess, I haven't been down there, but a couple of deputies have, at the common trail. We understand there are other ways to come around and get up here, so we're posting somebody at the 1,000-foot mark on what's the common trail, and just telling people that if they're not coming onto the property, they're not getting a copy of the order. We're happy to give them one if they'd like one, but until they actually come within the 1,000-foot boundary, we're not identifying anybody or doing any of that.
Okay.
It's only the 1,000 feet. So
I guess there's a little bit of confusion too. If people get notified of this at once, like I've been clearly notified in, should I run into you again in a similar situation, do I get read again?
No. Well, you won't get another copy of it, and you can stick around for the reading, but if we're here to say we're within the 2 hour blast time,
get off.
Then you would leave. I mean, you wouldn't be subject to getting another one unless you wanted one every time. But,
no.
But that's... So there's a couple of things that did come up, though, that were questions the other day, and I'll just point it out. One was there was confusion over whether it's 1,000 feet from the blast zone or property line. And upon reading it, again, it shows it's 1,000 feet from the northwestern edge of the property line, northwestern boundary of Donald and Shirley Nelson. So it's 1,000 feet from the property line, not 1,000 feet from the blast zone, because we don't know where they're blasting. So it's 1,000 feet from the property line, and we want to reiterate I've seen in some places a trespass notice. It's not a trespass notice. You guys can be here. You can be on the property. It's a preliminary injunction prohibiting people from being here in the safety zone during the blast time. And there is a difference. Violation of the injunction is a civil court order, and that's what we have here. Versus a violation of a trespass notice would be a criminal charge.
So the idea there, it would be nice to, as a citizen, to be treated the same as the workers, okay? And obviously the workers, by saying 1,000 foot beyond this boundary, that's a very large amount of territory.
Yep.
And it seems excessive for the safety precautions. It seems like you're trying to preclude our First Amendment rights excessively. Treat us just as you would a worker. The same time, the same distance, we'll comply. If people choose not to comply, I'll tell them to show up here and you can use your cuffs.
Right. All I can do is pass that message on to them, Doc. I don't know anything more that I can do, because we're not subject to, I don't want to say bending the order, but I can't say, for this blast it's going to be a little farther away, so how about we do 500 feet? I can't say that because the order, I understand.
You'd be in violation.
I understand that. I don't want to be found in contempt of court by not following through on the order because then I'd be subject to the same as you guys.
So
at this time they do have a blast scheduled within the 2 hours, and like I said, 10, 1, and
I don't know what Chris.
Are you staying, or are you
at this point, Chris? You said
I'm
covering arrest. There's no
the protesters did, because that's fine.
Well, I think the only other person here is
you understand
Doc.
you're still subject to the same thing, right? Even as a reporter. Okay.
I don't make any claim of special.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going up that way and then down to the trail, and then I intend to be back up here as soon as possible to do some filming over on the other side, but I'll be off.
Okay.
Certainly by 1, and certainly,
within the 2 hour time frame. Okay. Any more people planning on coming up this afternoon?
I am sure there are.
Okay.
So let's get it right. Maybe Chris can write it down. So blasting will be at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And according to the current order, which you will discuss the potential modification, that basically means people have to be off from 11 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Is that correct?
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah, unless, yeah.
I got to get running.
And I'm going to, before you run off, let me just make sure. I don't know if I still have your cell.
I have
You've got mine.
6.
You can enter it if you'd like.
Just precaution.
There, and I'll just.
I think it's 75, 12 people, 5 people.
Both. They do it all.
Beautiful fellow. Which purpose are they here?
If there's anything that comes up between now and then, I have no problem letting you know. I don't suspect anything. I will mention to them what you've asked for.
We got around a little outnumbered this morning.
Yeah, so, well,
Thank you.
we had that.
Oh, on Friday we did have. I don't necessarily know if it was intentional or if it was just simply that they were just people spread out.
I'd like to explain that to you. You know, you arrived, sort of unannounced, whereas if we had a whistle, people would be prepared. There's a gentleman that has a shrine up there who was praying, and he was busy praying, and then he sees you folks coming, and so, he doesn't want to, so he took off.
Right.
So that's why a system, a warning system where anybody anywhere can hear it would make imminent sense.
And our job is just basically the public safety. We don't want anybody that is hiding within the blasting zone.
Right. But,
No, the last time I was up here, there were some people with film crew. And they weren't here when this was. They could have blown it before. That was the blast that threw shit over here.
Right.
Debris.
I got it. All right.
All set, gentlemen?
All set. Nice meeting you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Chris? Nice meeting you too.
You guys.
Okay.
Thank you.